Salakia, but yeah, man, I typed in loneliness epidemic, man, and this is a thing because you women are proud, you're feminist, they've given you the liberty to totally destroy yourselves with this proud behavior, so it's led you without a man, and it shows, man.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, it's his job to keep the power on. That's why he chooses Grainger for professional-grade products and next-day delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call, click, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Damn.
Turning to the issue of...
All right, cool. So let me get a precept. I know I was kind of talking, so Salakia, man. But this is why Isaiah 4:1 is going to come in a big way. Because, hey, these women, man, they through. They ain't got it. Loneliness epidemic. Shit, hey, you've done it to yourselves. Okay, Isaiah 32. And I'm going to start at verses 1. It says, behold, a king shall reign in righteousness, and princes shall rule in judgment. Okay, it says a king. That king is Yahushua, and the princes are the elect, man. The elect men. The men you see out there doing the work on the highways and the hedges week in and week out. Now taking breaks. That's the princes in judgment, because we're going to rule. Yahushua said that we would sit on thrones judging 12 tribes of Israel, man. And that's what Yahushua promised us. It says, and a man should be as a hiding place from the wind, and a cover from the tempest, as rivers of waters, and a dry place as the shadow of a great rock in a weary land. So, yeah, man, you women are starting to realize, like, look, men are the prize, man. Okay, and just about default with the prize, because Yahushua made us less and more. We're more less and abundant. Okay, you women outnumber us 7-1. So when you have an abundance of something, that doesn't make it precious. Then the things you have a scarcity of. Men are very scarce compared to women. Okay, and on top of that, we were just blessed with the gifts. We had the stability of mind, the strength, the balance. Okay, a man is the only sex that can raise both children on his own. A man can raise a boy and a girl, versus a woman, she can't do neither. Because technically, if your woman has a little girl, she still needs the father in her life, and if she has a son, he's completely doomed. But a man can raise both, because he's that father, he's that dominant figure, the responsible one, And it says, and a man should be as a hiding place from the wind, and a cover from the tempest, as rivers of water in a dry place, and as a shadow of a great rock in a weary land. Yeah, man, because, hey, we're going to be the ones that's going to pretty much stand out like a sore thumb in that day, because while everybody is running out here, losing their mind, stomach touching their back, getting totally martyred in the streets, we're going to be the men that's going to have that glow on us. We're going to have that thawra on us. All right? Don't ask me how it's going to show. I don't know. It just, I assume that it's going to be within the stability of our actions, because the scriptures say wisdom and knowledge should be the stability of thy time. So I would assume it will be on the hem of that. But we don't know. The Most High may literally put a actual glow on us, man. We just got to wait and see. But it says, and the eyes of them that shall see shall not be dim, and the ears of them that hear shall hearken, right? Because it's going to be our way or the highway. Okay, none of that, well, you know what, baby, let's disagree to agree, agree to disagree. Nah, it's not going to be none of that. Okay, that's not how this works. You got to understand the purpose at hand. In the coming time, we getting ready to come into, you're going to have to totally be on the vibration of the man you with, or you're going to be left behind. Okay? You ain't none of that. Well, maybe none of that. It's no compromise. You do what we say, or you're going to get left. And it says here, the heart of the rash shall also understand knowledge, and the tongue of the stammerer should speak, to be ready to be, stammerer should be ready to speak plainly, man. All right? So, yeah, I'm going to play this video. Couple of minutes of it, see what it's talking about, and now we'll get a couple of precepts, and that'll be
loneliness. According to the CDC, about a third of adults in the U.S. report feeling lonely. It's being called the loneliness epidemic. And licensed psychotherapist Candace Washington joins us to talk about what we can do. I have been looking forward to this. Petula on my team just sings your praises, and it's so important, and it's timely that we talk about this.
Of course, and you got a bald-headed nigga woman, man. She's probably a damn feminist, probably hate men, But this is one reason why a lot of you are lonely, man. Look at this. Now, she may have alopecia or whatever, or this could just be a fashion statement. But overall, man, it's through.
Well, these are staggering numbers. So tell us what's behind them.
Yes, you just mentioned that 1 in 3 adults experience loneliness, and the CDC also reports that 1 in 4 adults reports having a lack of social and emotional support. And you think about the world that we live in right now. We live in a very digitally charged society where we're texting, where we're sending voice messages, where we are FaceTiming, and the lack of one-on-one face interactions have significantly decreased. And loneliness looks different for everybody. There's several types of loneliness. You can have collective loneliness, the sense of wanting to belong.
Yep, because social media, everybody's all into themselves and narcissistic. You know, and another thing too, brothers, man, a lot of these chicks that be curving these dudes, a lot of them be going home lonely, man. You know, they're looking for that particular Jake or whoever that resembles their celebrity or their favorite time celebrity, whether he be a rapper or a ball player. They would curve 20 dudes in one night just to find that impossible one, just to go home and cry about it. Like, you just turned down 20 dudes, somebody you could have been compatible with. They don't think like that, man. But it be some of the finest chicks that turn their nose up at you and they're stuck up, but yet you go home, they ain't got nothing going. You barely got a bottle of water in the refrigerator, man, let alone a man. And that's just the ballistics of it. A lot of them are lonely, man. That's why they be on these date naps and all this other stuff. And even then, they still don't be satisfied because, like I said, beggars can't be choosers, but apparently you got a bunch of beggars that's choosy because they, like I said, they'll curve you in order to find the one that they truly want because they feel they're better than you because they've been falsely elevated.
To something that seems meaningful to you. You can have relative loneliness when it comes to wanting to relate to others, having social support, and then you can have loneliness when it comes to being partnered, having a partner. So there's different types of loneliness, and that's why you can be in a room filled with thousands of people and still experience loneliness.
I'm glad that we're explaining it like this and showing it like this because it's like an iceberg. There's just so many different levels to it. This is Men's Health Month.
Yes.
Awareness Month, and really focusing on mental health.
Yes.
So when it comes to loneliness and mental health and all that, what is the difference between men and women? How do we address it?
So the National Alliance on Mental Illness reports that 45.9% of men seek help, seek support. So you think about the opposite of that, the 54.1% of men who are not seeking help. And it has a lot of different layers to it. One of them is societal pressures, how we see men, how we see masculinity, showing vulnerability and emotion as a sign of weakness instead of strength, saying that it's okay not to be okay and it's not a reflection of your masculinity. So we have to foster these conversations and they have to go well beyond just this month. I'm a mom of 2 amazing boys. One is 17 and one is 6, and teaching them early the significance of emotional intelligence, because when they're self-aware, then they manage their relationships better.
But you can't teach a boy emotional intelligence because you don't have it. Okay, your emotions are not stable from day to day. That's why the scripture said that a man that is born of a woman is but a few days of trouble. Says, as a matter of fact, let me get that. I don't want to butcher it. I'll come back to this Isaiah, but this is the book of Job 14. And we'll start at 1. It says, when a man that is born of a woman is of a few days and full of trouble. Yeah, a short life and full of mental illnesses, man. That's why these Jake boys are walking around here all bugged out, messed up. You know, emotional intelligence. And, you know, most of our parents didn't even have emotional awareness. You know, you got to really know your awareness, your triggers, brothers. You know, you have to know yourself, know what ticks you, know what don't. It says, and he cometh forth like a flower and is cut down. It says, and fleeth also as a shadow and continueth not. Yep, because, you know, like I mentioned, you know, being born of these women, hey, that's a short sentence, man. That's why a lot of Jakes be dead in jail by their 21st birthday.
And one day, if they, decide to choose, they would be husbands, they would be fathers. And the world thinks that when we express ourselves, that is a sign of weakness when it comes to men, and it's not. So when you think about that, you create compassion, connection, care, and relational intimacy. And relational intimacy, when you break down that word intimacy, Robin, is into me you see. Our men want to be seen and heard and valued. And clinically in my practice, I work with a lot of men in this population. And they express to me, if I put language on what it is that I'm experiencing, I don't want those around me to see me as weak or inferior or less than. But men cry, men feel, men experience depression and anxiety.
Okay, so cool. Isaiah 4:1, it says, in that day, 7 women should take hold of one man, saying we should eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach. Yep, that day is quickly approaching. That's why, hey, brothers been getting different, things been different lately. Shorties are trying to deal, more tension, women are flirting more. I was just in the store because I had some car problems today, unfortunately. And I'll show you how the scripture said, man's goings of the Lord. I went to one because I had the day off, so I went to go look at some things, and I was getting ready to go to the store, and then my car ended up overheating. I think my radiator hose busted, so that was a whole another 3 hours I had to spend trying to get it towed and to the shop and stuff like that. But when I went to the store to try to get some antifreeze, I wasn't even paying attention, but how you check your peripherals and look around. There's one chick at the register at the Walmart, and it was a Jake at the register. Now I assume they both worked there, but she looked at me, she said, hey, how you, she's like, hey, how you doing? I was like, where you come from, But she had that look in her eyes like, oh, shit, damn, a real man, And I've been told that before, too, man. Like out of the team you work with, you're the only masculine one there. And it bothers my spirit because we have to be around such feminine, weak, effeminate men, man. That really can be troublesome to real men. And it says here, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach. And I went into the not the lexicon, but I went into the research on this and looked at the different concordance on it. And it was basically going into how there's going to come a time of economic turmoil when women, how the men are going to be so scarce to the point they just going to want to be with a man. Really, by default, a man of the Lord, because the average man out here is not going to make it. Isaiah 32, and I'm going to start at verses 9. Rise up, ye women that are at ease, and hear the voice, ye careless daughters, and give ear unto my speech. It says, many days in a year shall ye be troubled, you careless women, for the vengeance shall fail, and the gathering shall not come. So there's going to come a time that the programs, the child supports, I think it was one state, forgot what state that was, but they said that they're like over billions of dollars in child support debt because the men ain't paying the child support debt. I think anything over $5,000 is a felony. Like, how the fuck can a civil debt that violates all types of constitutional rights and due process rights, because they ain't even real judges, but how the hell can you give somebody a felony because they won't allow you to shake them down or exploit them? Like, what kind of wickedness is that? But the people ain't paying the child support, so they just saying, look, you just show up with an ID and just give us something. And because people are waking up to that shit, but that's a sign of the vengeance felony when they're asking for child support payments because they're in debt because of it. No. You know what I'm saying? And that's just going to be a pandemic across the whole globe because, with the Doge shit and the DI and all that other stuff they did as far as cutting programs, Social Security, Medicare, all that stuff, eventually is going to pipe down to the average Jake, and they ain't going to have nothing. Even a job is going to be scarce in that day. So these women are getting ready to feel it, man. And if you got any type of manliness about you, then hey, like Apostle Gabar say, we gonna have to beat them off with the iron bat or something, man, because they gonna come, So just be prepared, brothers. They gonna come. Tremble, ye women that are at ease, and be troubled, ye careless ones. Strip you and make you bare, and gird sackcloth upon your loins. Right, humble down. They shall lament for the teats and for the pleasant fields and the fruitful vine. But upon my people shall come upon the thorns and briars, and upon all the houses, joy in the joyous city, man. All right. So with that, all praises and glory and honor does due to Yahweh Bashim Hawashai Bashim Makabadash. Lord's will you edify to the next lesson. Shalom.